Welcome, everybody, to Lee's podcast. I'm your host, Lee Yang. Well, this is part 2 of C's story. But with that being said, let's talk about family, girl.
Okay.
All right. How many kids do you have?
When I have my 9-year-old with me, I say 5. I say 5. I mean, 6 if you include my husband. But
I'm sure most wives will be like that. I'm sure Mater said that about me too.
So I have 5 kids. One has passed.
Okay.
And so the one that we lost is still very touchy for my 9-year-old. So when she is with me, I tell people that we have 5 because I guess it's more of like a grieving process for her. And I know it's been 7 years now, but she's still processing it.
So the loss of your child, is it older or younger than her?
Younger.
Yes. So this is the one between that one and the youngest one then, or?
I have 2 adult kids because remember I got married when I was almost 16.
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
so I have two adult kids from my previous marriage. And then I seriously thought I was done because I was approaching 30. And, at one point my parents asked me if I was gay.
You're serious?
I'm serious because my parents are like, you're going to turn 30 soon. Are you planning to get married again? And that was one thing. And then the other thing was they were like, they were scared that I wasn't going to end up with a home man. Okay.
So they were actually worried about that.
Yeah, they were worried.
They just can't think that maybe you want to be single for the rest of your life or a single mother.
Yeah.
I guess for our parents, that's something that they don't think about. They always assume that you'll be with someone or will be with someone.
Yeah, I think my first marriage was very traumatizing for me. And it was just a huge struggle. And so I think at one point they just thought like, are you gay? And I was like, no, Mom, I like guys. I just
haven't found the right one.
Yeah. I mean, from the time that I separated from my ex, it took probably about a year. And then I filed for divorce. And then that took another year-long process for divorce to be finalized. And then I met my husband probably about 8 months later, and then we were just talking. And I talked to a few guys in between too, but it was, I was just, I know not everybody's like this, and I'm not saying any way is right or wrong, but I was just not a person that was going to talk to somebody just to talk to somebody. So I did talk to a few people, but a few guys, but it was never like I wasn't in a relationship with them, like boyfriend and girlfriend. I just didn't want to bring anybody around my 2 kids, especially if I knew that it might not be permanent. I just didn't want to confuse them. And so I met my husband, my current husband, probably 8 months after my divorce was finalized. And then we just kept talking, and then until I realized like maybe this can be a relationship. And so I asked my kids for their blessing.
What did they say?
My son's reaction was, I don't even know why you haven't started dating yet.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh, so wow, yeah.
That was my son's reaction. And then my daughter was just like, yeah, Dad's already moved on. Why are you even asking us,
So they're waiting for you to move on.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure they were probably questioning me like my parents.
Now, let me ask a silly question, because the one I just dropped with Diana, obviously she's a single mother.
Yep, I listened.
She is dating a Indian man. Have you thought about, at that time, dating outside? Not a Hmong guy, but maybe, another ethnic group, or that wasn't something that you'll consider?
You know what? I was open to it. I guess I just never ran into anybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you didn't use the dating app like she did.
No.
I don't think there were dating apps back then, were there?
Lee, we're not that old.
Okay. It's not that I'm old. I'm just like oblivious to these things because I don't use them.
No, I'm pretty sure those apps were around, but honestly, I met my husband on accident.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a graduation party that a mutual friend, because my husband's not from Wisconsin.
Oh, he's not. I didn't know that.
No, so at the time he's originally he was born and raised in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Yeah, in Reading, Pennsylvania. So he had a mutual friend in Milwaukee, and he attended this graduation party that she threw for herself. And I was trying to avoid it because I just felt like I needed a break. And I just couldn't see myself being involved with the Hmong community. And I tried to avoid any places that had a lot of Hmong people. I think maybe because, to me, I feel like my dad's pretty well known in the community. And when I had separated from my ex, I felt like, everybody was just talking about me, and I wanted to avoid it. And then, of course, you get that label of tupondo,
Yes.
which is divorcee.
Yes.
And you feel like whenever you go somewhere, people are like looking down on you like you're a disease, that you're gonna, their daughters are gonna catch it, And so I was just trying to avoid every place that I can go to.
Do you think that's directed mainly towards the woman?
I think.
Did your ex? He didn't feel like that, did he?
Obviously
I don't know, but
yeah, I don't know.
I wonder if guys. Obviously, I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
but I wonder if guys have that stigma that follows them, like you guys do. Because I was talking to Diana about that too,
Mm-hmm.
because obviously she's divorced also, and the stigma that followed you guys in our community, saying that, oh, you're a divorcee.
Yeah.
But the reality of it is that there's more now than it was back then. I'm
Right.
assuming.
Honestly, I still see that behavior, because I feel like, okay, when a man divorces and they get remarried, right? He gets praised for it. But when a woman gets divorced and she gets remarried, I feel like they're not praised for it. They're looked down upon it. So even marrying my husband was a little difficult.
Oh,
Yeah.
I have to give him credit though, right?
Yes.
Because he's a single man.
He's a single man.
Good for him, right? Because
Not only is he a single man, but he's the only son in the family too.
wow. And listen, folks, you guys have to understand that part of it, right?
Yes.
It's like to be the only son and to marry someone who is divorced with a child. Did he get any like pushback from it?
He did, and I think that's what made me realize that maybe I do want to marry this guy.
Because he's willing to fight for you.
Yeah, because when he told his parents that we were dating, so my in-laws are also divorced, and they have also gone to get remarried. But I think the thought of their only son marrying somebody that has a family, that had a past, just didn't sit well with them. And so they have said to him a few times, like, oh, if you're just dating her to have fun, then yeah, go ahead. But if you're going to date her to get serious, then you need to break up with her. Mm. And I guess it's true what he said. He's like, I'm not obedient, Like, we had to do it, yeah.
Yeah.
So he went against his parents, and we continued to date, and we were together for like 3-4 years before he decided to propose. And from there on, his parents were just like, oh my goodness, now there's like no chance of him ending this relationship. So yeah, they got into it, but then now
everybody's fine.
Yeah, everybody's fine. Everything they need, they call me.
They love you for who you are now, mm-hmm. and they love you got grandkids for them.
Yes.
Right? So I mean, what are you gonna do then, right? You can't continue to hold these grudges, but I'm assuming they're not holding grudges anymore. They accept you now.
Yeah, they accept me, so they call me for everything. So if they need to yell at my husband, they call me. If they need advice, they need help with something, or if they want to talk and see the kids, they call me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
and then of course I have So I have 3 with my husband now. And then so we had our my second daughter, his first daughter. And then we tried to get pregnant, and then we had a miscarriage. And then a few months after that, without knowing, we got pregnant again.
Uh-huh.
And so this was the one that we lost. So we did have a miscarriage that was around 8 weeks. And I guess I didn't realize how common miscarriages are. I think maybe because not a lot of women talk about it openly. So I was just very upset and disappointed at myself, thinking it was just me.
But it wasn't just you, though.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, because then as I started being more open about it and going to counseling, I see a ton of women that are in the same situation as me. And I guess like what made me really question myself was the fact that like my parents had nine of us.
Yeah.
In a third world country that didn't have, epidurals or painkillers or anything like that, And I'm thinking like, how could I lose not just one baby, but 2? So we had a miscarriage at 8 weeks. And then we got pregnant again a few months after. We were really excited because we obviously wanted to expand our family. And at that point, our third child was 2. So she was about to turn 3. And around 13 weeks, we went in for an ultrasound, and they just, you can tell that something is wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she called in the doctor, my OB, and I think I was just more scared because the first miscarriage we went in and I was just really scared, like, oh, they're going to come in and say that there's no heartbeat again. I was in for a major shock because with the second one, we were thinking like we already went past that phase or that stage where they came in, they verified that there was a heartbeat. And then, of course, we go in for the 13-week checkup where they were doing more of, making sure that they were going to do blood work and also make sure that the baby wasn't going to have any cases of Down syndrome. And so when we went in, I didn't think it was anything. My husband was like, do you need me to go with you? And I was like, oh, it's just a regular routine. I think I'll be fine. And then got there and I was by myself, and when the doctor came back in, she wasn't 100% sure what it was, but she did say what she suspected what was wrong. So the first thing she said was she thinks that our baby, at that time we didn't know the sex of the baby yet. She said she felt that our son or our baby might have a form of dwarfism, and it doesn't run in both sides of our family. So I was thinking like, okay, so our baby is going to be a tiny person. We're okay with that. We've been wanting to expand our family, and we're going to take whatever we're blessed with. So I, as I'm saying this to my OB, she was like, "No, you don't get it." And I was just like, "What do you mean?" Because the only thing that we're familiar with is, yes, there are people, tiny people, and they're all okay. Yeah, besides the fact that they're not tall, they looked perfectly healthy. Right. And so that's when she started saying that dwarfism has different levels of severity, and she felt that the level of dwarfism that our baby had might be on the lethal end.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So even then, I still didn't understand it because I was just like, okay, so the baby's going to have tiny legs, tiny arms. I don't understand what could be lethal about that. So she turned the screen to me, and she was just telling me, like, maybe we can be, maybe we might be wrong, because you're only about 11 weeks, and maybe we miscalculated your conception, and maybe the measurements are just off because of that miscalculation. So she was like, why don't you come back for another assessment, and then I would recommend you get a second opinion. So we went back for a second opinion, and at this time we were a little bit further along the pregnancy. So at this point we're at, I believe we were at 17 weeks, and by that time the blood work already came back. It was confirmed that we're having a little boy. We're having a son. So we were just excited, and of course our daughter, all of our kids were excited, but especially the 2-year-old, she was just over the moon.
Mm-hmm.
So we went to the hospital, did the ultrasound, and everything seemed perfect. We saw him on the screen. He was moving around. At this time, like, you're starting to feel movements in your stomach, and he looked perfectly healthy. But then at this point, we're seeing a fetal, like a high risk ward or department. I don't really know what they call it. So these are doctors that are very familiar with
At-risk pregnancy.
right. Of course, the same thing happened. The technician had called in the doctor, and he starts explaining everything to us. And then that's when we heard the term for the first time, and it was called thanatophoric dysplasia. So he explained that not only does our son have tiny arms and tiny legs, which is not the lethal part, but what was lethal was that his chest cavity had stopped growing. And this was all very new to me, because, like I said, we see tiny people, we know tiny people, and we just don't think that there's any other forms. So the doctor explained what, like, if we continued with the pregnancy, they gave us, the life expectancy and health risks that I would encounter.
You yourself would encounter.
Right. And so he basically said that the chances of our son surviving even through birth is probably just 2%. And if he survives through birth, he most likely will not make it past a few minutes to a few hours.
Wow.
Yeah. And so at that point, we were still just not fully accepting it. And we wanted like a third opinion. And so we had all his results sent to California. There's a hospital there that specializes in thanatophoric dysplasia. And right when they saw the scans, they confirmed that he would not survive. So by the time we went in at 19 weeks, so this was 2 weeks after when we went back in for another ultrasound, after the hospital in California had confirmed it, they had saw that his chest cavity had already stopped growing. So his chest cavity was measuring at 12 weeks, and that's where it stopped. So his heart was still growing at the normal speed or rate, but eventually he would just go into cardiac arrest.
It's going to overgrown
Right.
the chest.
Right. So, I mean, just think about it like a cage. You have something growing inside, and eventually that cage can't hold it. And so it basically just makes his heart stop, with the compression and all that. So, so at 19 weeks, they gave us a decision to, either continue with the pregnancy and let him go whenever he was ready to go, or for us to go into premature labor and deliver him and let him go. So after a lot of crying and being angry, yeah, I felt like it tested my faith a lot during that time. Had a lot of angry prayers. Yeah, and just feeling like, I'm being punished for something. And every single time I prayed out, it was just like my emotions were all over the place, because there would be some prayers where I'm like, whatever I did wrong, please forgive me, and then other prayers would be like, why are you doing this to me? So it's just like a very, very confusing and hard time for us. And as I'm dealing with this, of course, we also have to accept that all of our kids are dealing with this. And because my two older ones were way older, and then of course we have the 3-year-olds, they're all three of them are dealing with this grief differently. We spent the next 2 weeks looking for it's sad when you have this belly that is starting to show already, and you're walking around looking for a burial plot for a baby that you haven't even brought into this world. So it was just so hard. And of course, my husband and I, we weren't on the same page. I really thought that losing our son might have broken us. I was really scared that we would not come out of it together. Of course, as soon as he found out that there was something wrong, he opted to do a DNC, where they basically it's kind of like an abortion.
Okay.
Yeah. And of course that angered me, and I was just like, no, we're not going to do it. This is a human person inside me. I've felt him kick. We've seen his heart. I don't want to do that. And so we fought over and over again. And it was just because I didn't understand, that he was looking to protect me. And I was looking to protect my son, our son, So, yeah, so we argued a lot, cried a lot. He didn't cry so much. Maybe it's just a man thing. I don't know. So at 22 weeks, we went into the hospital and got induced, and gave birth to him on September 11th, 2015. And he was
September 11th.
Yeah, I know.
What?
I was just, okay, I didn't even think about that date until after, like a month after. And I was just like, of all the days you chose to get induced, why?
Yeah.
It was just, I don't know.
But you saw your son.
Yes, we saw him. So he was born sleeping. Okay. He did not take a single breath at all. And he was beautiful. He was perfect. And maybe that's why God wanted him. Yeah. So you can also say that that's probably why it drives my ambition a little bit more. Everybody has different faith, different beliefs, but I do believe that I am going to see my son again. And I do believe that I have somebody that I have to answer to, that I need to fear. So while I'm living here on earth, I want to, unfortunately, God did not gift me with any special skills or talent. So I'm going to use everything that I have. So when I get to the gates of heaven, God will greet me there with my son and say, welcome home. I'm proud of you. You did everything that you could. And of course I want my son to say that too,
Yeah.
You want to be a good person, and you want to help out as much as possible. You want to spread as much love as possible. And I've learned that, yes, he's not here, but his love, I can continue to love and love upon people, love on people, because that's the only way to keep him alive.
I mean, what else can you do?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, and how about the younger ones? You have 2 younger ones.
Yeah. So
two more after this. Obviously, one after this. He or she. He knows nothing about his older brother.
No, he doesn't. So with our youngest, it took a while for my husband to bring up, the idea of trying again, and he didn't want to push it. And with Hmong families, I feel like no matter what, they're always going to treasure sons more. I can tell you, I'm not going to tell you exactly who, but somebody did say, oh, if you are willing to try again, I can go find some Hmong herbs so that you can have a son. And I said, why would, to me, I was just thinking, like, why would anybody just say that to me? At this point, I didn't even care if I had a son or a daughter. I just wanted a healthy baby. So I was really, really hurt by that. And I believe, our son Asher, that's what we named him. He was born on September 11th, 2015. We actually got a burial plot right by here.
Yes.
Yes. So that's where we laid him to rest. And then it wasn't until like March or April of that following year where we finally started feeling comfortable about talking about the possibilities of trying again. Mm-hmm. And then, I don't know, we obviously weren't trying. It was just like, oh, okay, we're open to the idea. And then if it happens, it happens. So, of course, a few months after that, we found out. And, then you're going through that whole trauma of like, oh my goodness, this is the time that we're going in for an ultrasound. Are we going to see the same things that we saw with the previous 2 pregnancies? And then like once you pass that phase, then you're like, oh, now this is when we found out. And, so it's just like you're experiencing that trauma all over again.
Yeah.
And the entire time you just feel like you're holding your breath for the entire 9 months until you see your baby. So we found out that it was going to be a boy. And Asher, the one that we lost, his due date was February 2nd, 2016. Of course, we had him earlier than that. And then Beckham, which is our youngest, his due date was January 28th, 2017. We ended up having him February 3rd.
Wow.
30 minutes after midnight. Otherwise, he would have been born on February 2nd, just like the due date for Asher.
Okay.
Yeah.
But he's healthy.
He's very, very healthy.
Is he like any other boy where he's running around everywhere?
Yes. He sometimes I feel like, so he was the biggest baby of all of my kids. And
wait, what was he? Like, how heavy was he when he came out?
He was 8 pounds and 13 ounces.
Wow, yeah.
And that's really big for a tiny, a tiny Hmong woman, right?
Yeah.
So when, all my kids were 7 pounds and below. So with Beckham, I was just so shocked that he was that big. But I justify it by saying God probably was making up for his tiny brother. Yeah.
But everybody's doing good.
Yes.
Life is good now.
Yes.
You and your husband are good.
Yes. Marriage is hard. It's not easy every single day. Most days we are at it with each other, but when things get really bad, I think about what we've been through together and how we've been able to come out of that, and not going through a lot of counseling when we lost our son made it did teach us that not a lot of couples come out together after losing a child.
Would you think he'll be willing to come in to talk? Because guys might.
I don't know.
I would like to hear his perspective. I'm not sure if your husband's open to it. If not, then that's okay.
I'll see. I don't know. He is a social butterfly, but only with like if it's like a one-on-one thing. I don't know how open he would be. But I can tell you, like, I was just like, oh, he's not even emotional about this. I guess I'm just gonna be handling this grief by myself. And I think it was 2 days after we came home from the hospital without our son, and I was trying to sleep because I hadn't slept for the past 5-6 months because of what was going on. And I was trying to sleep and I was thinking like, am I crying and not realizing that I'm crying? Or am I dreaming? Because I hear sobbing. And like, I think that I've never really seen my dad cry. I don't see a lot of men cry. And because my husband wasn't very expressive of
his emotions.
Yeah, his emotions, and especially losing our son, I just didn't think that he even cared. And yeah, so I heard this sobbing, and I got up and I walked, like looking around, like is there a ghost in the house or something? And I turned the corner into the living room, and he was sitting hunched over on the couch, and he just cried. And I didn't know what to do, and I went and sat next to him, and I held him, and I just cried with him. Yeah.
Okay, maybe I might maybe I shouldn't have him come in. So if you're listening, sorry, we just shared your story. But it's okay though.
Yes.
Guys, and I'm not sure who I've had a few of these podcasts already. It's okay.
Yeah.
Husband, it's okay. Because we're God made us with emotions, and you have to express it however way you need to express it. And I'm glad he did.
Yeah.
So, but I'll see if I can get him. I still want him to come in. Anyway, we're getting to the end of our conversation.
His job's not that exciting, just so you know.
It's okay. He's married to you.
I guess.
His job is to be your husband, and that's exciting enough.
And deal with me. Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Are you willing to come back in?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need my past guests to come back because I need people to come and talk to because I'm so boring. And so, all right. So, hey, if anybody's listening up to this point, if you like what you're listening to, please subscribe, share, and click on that notification button. Thanks, C.
Thank you for having me.